Wow, we might have our newest nomination for the upcoming Huge Embarrassing Failure Awards. In which, by the way, if you have someone that you want to see nominated who has spent 2022 or 2023 being a huge embarrassing failure, send your nomination to btlkc84@gmail.com. We've got a lot of excellent suggestions so far, so just keep them coming. And to be completely fair, I don't know if we can nominate Charles Barkley based on one single failure. Well, KC, what about Gayle King? This show is a duo. They're dual huge embarrassing failures. Yeah. Who in the hell's Gayle King? Why is she famous again? Correct me if I'm wrong here, but isn't the only reason that Gayle King is famous is because she was riding shotgun on the cape of Oprah Winfrey? Wasn't it some kind of weird triangle where Oprah was at the top flying her way to billionaire status, and she had those two hangers on riding on the back of her cape? One of them was Gayle King and the other one was some dude named Stavros or Beckman, or maybe it was Fred. Who cares? It doesn't matter what his name is. Gayle King kind of reminds me of Kim Kardashian, people who are famous for absolutely nothing. Kim Kardashian became famous because she was friends with Paris Hilton. And of course, she filmed herself playing around with Ray J's booty. Then she tried to pretend that the tape was leaked. Oh no, my privacy was invaded. I cannot believe they distributed my intimate moment after I signed that contract. To her credit, at least Gayle King has worked. At least she has tried to make a career in the mainstream media. Kim Kardashian just allowed camera crews to film her life and called it reality television. At least Gayle King has an actual job. Throughout 2023, CNN, they have been hyping up the supposedly dynamic duo of Charles Barkley and Gayle King. Now, this idea was the brainchild of former CNN president Chris the Bongo Licker, meaning it was destined for huge embarrassing failure. In the 18 or so months that Chris Licht was driving the ass of the Titanic in reverse directly into the frozen cucumber, I can't think of one idea that he came up with that actually worked. Chris Licht had so many failures at CNN, it seemed like he was contending with Bomani Jones for the crown of huge embarrassing failure. For some reason, though, the one idea that CNN ran with after Chris Licht was fired, it was the formation of this supposedly dynamic duo of Charles Barkley and Gayle King. You know, I wonder what happens behind the scenes at CNN when these ideas are discussed. Does CNN have any staffers working behind the scenes with an actual brain? Is there anyone working at CNN that has the courage to stand up and say, this idea is the shits? I mean, this is a network that is struggling to draw ratings. This is a network that is competing with Chris Cuomo and News Nation instead of competing with Fox and MSNBC. Hey, it's me, Chrissy C. When your network is competing with Chris Cuomo, you've got a serious problem. And you thought the solution to this ratings problem was hiring Gayle King? Gayle King? The same Gayle King who is consistently ranked in last place on CBS? The same Gayle King who gets dominated by Good Morning America and the Today Show? The same Gayle King who completely embarrassed herself last month when she interviewed the father of someone who was being held hostage by Hamas? That's your answer? That's who CNN views as their savior in prime time? Before we get into these abysmal ratings, let's go ahead and get to the sponsor for today's video, my good friends over at All Strokes Matter. A while back, I had a woman reach out to me asking where she could buy her husband clothes that were made by Americans for Americans. She didn't want to support woke clothing brands, but she wanted high quality clothing for her husband. Now, obviously, I don't know shit about fashion, but I do happen to know the best brand of American made clothes, my friends over at All Strokes Matter. For all my golfers out there, All Strokes Matter, they just released a new line of polo style shirts. I wore one the other day. Now, of course, my personal favorites are the long sleeve tees that I'm wearing right now. Now, for all my ladies out there, All Strokes Matter. They also offer unisex jackets and hoodies that will keep you warm throughout the winter. All Strokes Matter has plenty of options if you're looking for ideas for the men in your family for Christmas. And you know, if you can't decide what they would like, just buy them a gift card. Let them decide for themselves. Now, unlike the organization Black Lives Matter, All Strokes Matter, they actually care about our country. These are American employees making American clothes with American materials for American men and women. Yes, Yes, their prices are a bit higher than clothes made in foreign sweatshops, but you can't have it both ways. You can't say that you want to support American companies, then complain about American prices. So click the link in the description below. Use my promo code BTLFans30, BTLFANS30. Receive 30% off your first purchase of $25 or more with All Strokes Matter. All right, Charles Barkley, Gayle King, they made their big debut on CNN Wednesday night. The creative minds at CNN, they even came up with a brilliant title for the show, King Charles. I guess they were trying to appeal to the tree worshippers. The pretend king of England who happens to be named Charlie, he loves pretending to be king while pretending to care about climate change. Every time it reaches 70 degrees in London, Charlie claims it's a global crisis. For comparison purposes, I pulled the ratings for every show on CNN Wednesday night. Caitlin Collins, Katie Roo! Katie Roo drew 609,000 viewers. Andy Cooper, 592,000. Jake the Bongo Tapper, 606,000. Wolf Blitzer, woof, woof. The Cocker Spaniel drew 568,000. Whoa, that is some stiff competition. As you can see, CNN, they've got some heavy hitters when it comes to embarrassing failure, which is why I always thought it was a good idea several months ago for CNN to put Bomani Jones on their charity payroll. I mean, the Titanic's already sinking, 80% of this ship underwater. Bomani Jones, he could have the other 20% covered in about 3 hours. Put the Bobo in prime time for one night, CNN would be officially buried. Instead, CNN, they go out and hire King Charles in a desperate attempt to capture relevance. The big debut Wednesday night, 501,000 viewers. Easily the lowest rated primetime show at the network. Just think about that. It's not like this is Fox News where there's actual expectations to draw an audience. This show isn't on Bravo where you're expected to draw 750,000 or close to 1 million viewers. This is CNN, a network that does not have one single star in their primetime lineup. Charles Barkley is a megastar. Gayle King is a friend of Oprah. And you mean to tell me you drew 100,000 viewers less than Aaron Burnett out front of a bus? I know you guys don't watch CNN, so let me just illustrate the lack of star power at this network. Immediately following King Charles is something called Laura the Coat Hanger. How many of you guys have ever heard of Laura Coates? Yeah, me either. Larry O'Donnell at MSNBC, he tripled the audience of Charles Barkley. Over the period of a few months, CNN spent thousands and thousands of dollars promoting this show. The debut episode featured some big names, or what Dylan Mulvaney would call Celebrity 2.0. They spoke with Fat Joe, the same Fat Joe who forced Roy Jones to lean back in the summer of 2004. They interviewed something called the Gannett Journalist. Casey, who in the fuck is that? Hell if I know. According to CNN, they hired the Gannett Journalist to cover Beyonce and Taylor Swift. Why? I thought CNN wanted to be a hard news network. I didn't know that Beyonce and the Swiffer were making policy decisions. Hell, I thought the Swiffer was busy touring the country marketing her scented mops. What the hell is this? Is CNN trying to become TMZ? Like I've said countless times in the past, one of the biggest problems at CNN, this network does not have an identity, which is why King Charles fits right into the primetime lineup, because this show doesn't have an identity either. The other guest Wednesday night was the head coach of the Rainbow Warriors in the NBA, Steve Kerr. Stevie joined the show to talk about well, I really don't know why he was there. This segment was extremely awkward. Gayle King at one point tried to create some drama by telling Stevie that Charlie was talking shit about him. I guess Gayle doesn't know Charles Barkley all that well because he doesn't mind talking shit to your face. Watch for yourself.
You recall what someone said about the Warrior game last night?
They're old. You know, no, and listen, this is nothing personal. With the amount of success that the Warriors have had, like, people don't understand. The NBA playoffs is like a 2-month marathon. And they've had so much success. And everybody gets older when you have a lot of success.
Yeah, but didn't you make a comment about the Warriors last night? Didn't I see a post from you last night?
Gayle, it's
about getting cooked?
Gayle, let me tell you something.
Did you see that, Steve?
Steve.
Didn't you see that?
No, Gayle,
I did not see it, but I'm okay with it. I'm used to Charles's comments, so I'm okay with it.
You know, hey, Steve, don't believe everything you read on the internet. Because me and Gayle, because me and Gayle apparently hate each other.
But didn't you said
I
something
also remember
about
that, Charles, no, I was going to say, I also remember you claimed you were misquoted in your own autobiography. So
Yes.
I remember that, too.
Yes.
Awful. I mean, just awful. And look. I know it's their first show. I know it can take some time to develop chemistry on camera. And unlike other huge embarrassing failures, I don't take any pleasure in seeing Charles Barkley fail. I like Charles Barkley. He's one of the most entertaining NBA analysts on television, on the best NBA show on television. Inside the NBA is phenomenal, has been for decades. But like I told you guys months ago when this idea was being tossed around, this is not the right fit for Charles Barkley. He is not going to be able to save CNN, especially being on in primetime one night a week. Shows destined for failure. Typically, debut episode of a new show, it will see a spike in ratings, especially after it's been heavily promoted for months. People will be curious, they'll tune in to see what the show's all about. After a week or two, the show will settle in on its average. King Charles debuted like a wet fart on a first date. Everyone seems to be running out of the building. Maybe this show will find its place, maybe they'll find an identity, but I'll be honest with you, I just don't see this working. This was the least watched premiere of a new show on CNN in 12 years. Just think about that. This is a network that is known for setting record low ratings. When compared to the last 12 years, King Charles now holds the record for the least watched debut episode. Like I said, I like Charles Barkley. Couldn't give a fuck less about Gayle King, but I do like Charles Barkley. I hope it works out for him. I really do. I hope he succeeds. I wish Charles Barkley nothing but the best. And I'll even give CNN a little bit of credit here for being willing to try something new. But this show just further proves that CNN doesn't have an identity. They don't know who they are. I mean, seriously, what is CNN? What are they trying to be? Does anyone know? I mean, is this a news network? Is this TMZ? Is this a sports show? What the hell is it? Do you think Charles Barkley will succeed at CNN? Did anyone even watch the premiere? If so, what did you think of the show? Let me know. Sound off in the comments below. Look, I'm going to try and test a new schedule for this weekend. Going to try to get at least one additional video uploaded either Saturday or Sunday. It just depends on how I'm feeling. My entire family, we have been sick all week this week, myself included, so we'll just see what happens with that. I'll let you know. But like, subscribe, share the video. I appreciate every one of you guys and your continued support. Best way to contact me is by email at btlkc84@gmail.com, KC_BTL84 on Twitter. I'll see you guys tomorrow.